Okay, so this is weird because now I can't see myself on the screen, but we'll make it work. Okay, so our class this week is themed on self-care. So we'll be focusing in on taking time for ourselves, which we're obviously all doing right now. So that's obviously a great first step. And just sort of reaffirming to ourselves that it is important for us to take time for ourselves and to fill our own cup. So self-care, yes. Sometimes it's not all bubble baths and chocolate, and it's actually like doing the things that you don't want to do, but ultimately for the right purpose. Okay. Don't mind my fuzzy socks. Okay, so if you have your playlist ready, we can start them in 3, 2, 1. And just adjust your volume as needed so you can still hear my voice. Maybe make sure that the volume is off on any of your devices for your notifications so you really have this time uninterrupted to yourself. Coming into a nice seated position where you feel comfortable. Maybe closing down through the eyes. Taking a long sigh out. And ultimately, you have shown up for yourself today. So you know that there is value in taking this time for yourself. Something in you knows that it's needed. And sometimes it can be hard to just turn off the rest of the world for a little while when we have so many demands of us from all angles. Sometimes we can feel a bit selfish or guilty for tuning out for a little bit to tune in. But it's important to remember that self-care is not selfish. And if you're spending all of your rest time feeling guilty and scrolling through Instagram, as we're all prone to at times, that isn't really going to be as restorative for you as truly just taking the time to connect in with your emotions, with your body. Two things we tend to sort of push to the side. We push our bodies, we push ourselves into relationships and commitments that we might not want to sometimes. But we won't know what is too far or what we shouldn't agree to unless we really go in and ask ourselves those questions. We won't be able to create those healthy boundaries if we aren't really thinking deeply about what's best for ourselves. Because we can't give the best of ourselves if there's nothing left to give. So, in order to serve others, sometimes we have to serve ourselves first. as strange as that might feel. So just take a deep breath in and give yourself permission to have a little self-care time. You might have a little affirmation here. We'll kind of make this one a little bit more focused on our physical bodies, because sometimes in our modern lives we get a little distracted with applying our mental mind, our intellect, to so many things that the body just sort of follows us along wherever we go. So let's give our bodies some intentional love in this practice. So our affirmation for today will be, I deserve to feel good in my body. I deserve to feel good in my body. I deserve to feel good in my body. Just letting that sink in. And even if sort of some quiet or not so quiet part of you is kind of popping up in the back of your mind saying, no, you don't. Just know that if you're the one that's hearing that little voice in the back of your mind, then that little voice isn't you. It's a part of you, but you're the one who's listening. You're the one who's listening to these thoughts. And you can choose to recognize that little echo in your mind saying, you shouldn't do this. You should feel guilty. You don't deserve it. That's just a misguided, self-protective part of you. And you can totally just say, thanks for your opinion, and move on with whatever you know is truly going to serve you. You don't have to listen to that little inner critic, because you are more than that little inner critic, as loud as it may seem sometimes. So we'll move on into our breathing exercises now, getting prepared for our class. So in order to sort of shake off that maybe self-consciousness that we might have about our bodies or how we look, we're gonna do a little bit of a funny breath. So this one's called lion's breath. So you're gonna look silly, just accept it. That's just how it's gonna be. So what we do is we take a deep breath in, and then we stick the tongue out, curling it down towards the chin, and then our eyes are gonna cross and look up at the space between your eyebrows. So kind of like how you see sometimes those like lion statues or like gargoyle things. This is called lion's breath. So it looks something like this. Yep, you're gonna look silly, but just accept it. Just go with it. Give yourself permission to look silly. So deep breath in. You can even sort of like roar a little bit like a lion. So you're really like forcing that breath out from the bottom of your lungs. Wonderful. Okay, so let's start to get into a little bit of movement. So we'll start with some little neck circles here. Getting into all those nooks and crannies. A lot of this class is just gonna be like basically one long self-massage into all of those little bits and pieces of your body that don't really get much tension. And there's going to be ample time for you to sort of explore in different poses and kind of move not only at your own pace, but just intuitively, whatever sort of strikes you in the present moment. So just moving in whatever direction you feel you need. I'll help you get in and out of the poses, but I encourage you to just sort of play with your range of motion in different postures here. Okay, so we'll take the feet together into cobbler's pose. I'm gonna take my socks off. So soles of the feet together, knees out. Now we're gonna give ourselves a little foot massage here. Our feet often get neglected as well. So just massaging the soles of the feet, the thumbs, giving them a little love. We're stretching the toes a little bit. And then coming to a nice sort of stable seat. It's okay if you're on your pillow, I'm still on mine. We'll start with a nice straight spine, shoulders down and away from the ears. And ever so slightly, we're going to begin to rotate the body. Little circles here. Making them just slightly bigger as we rock around. And as you get bigger, you'll find you're getting a bit more of a stretch in the hips. Again, only going as wide. This feels good. And when you feel the time is right, switching directions and going from big circles to small circles. You can imagine this as sort of slowing down, and finding your center. Until you're coming right into the present moment, into your body, right here, right now, exactly as it is. Subtly small circles till you reach stillness. Wonderful. Okay, so we will be doing our 7 movements of the spine in a kneeling position. So if you have sore knees, you might kneel on your pillow or you might kneel on your mat, up to you. I'm going to start out on my pillow, but then there's going to be a pose where I think it might be safer to do without the pillow, so I'll let you know when that is. So in a kneeling position, hero's pose. These shoelaces of the feet, the tops of the feet are pressing down. The hips are sitting on the heels. Straight through the spine, shoulders down and away from the ears. We'll take the arms to the sides of the body. Inhale, arms up and overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, arms up and overhead. Exhale down to the mat. Inhale, arms up and overhead. Exhale to heart center. Inhale, arms up and overhead. Exhale down to the mat. One more at your own pace. When our hands come down to the mat next, we'll plant the left hand, take the right hand up and over to the left, coming into a crescent moon. Opening up through the side body, holding for a couple breaths here. As we slowly sink into the stretch. When you feel ready, coming back to center. Planting the right hand, left hand up and over to the right. Coming back through center. We'll take the left hand now and we'll bring it up and forwards. And then I want you to look at your middle finger as it comes all the way up and behind you. Just following with your gaze as you sort of make these large backward circles. Rotating our shoulders. Changing directions now, moving forwards, still watching your fingers as we make these large circles. Coming down back to the mat. Right hand goes to the back of the mat, gazing at the right middle finger as we make our backward circles. Changing direction. I guess we were going forwards, but that's okay. Accepting what is. When we come back through center, we'll bring the hands up and overhead. Right hand goes to left knee, coming into a twist, looking out over the left shoulder. Coming back through center. Left hand to right knee, looking out over the right shoulder. Coming back through center. Right hand to left knee. Inhale back to center. Exhale, left hand to right knee. Inhale back to center. And one more time through, right hand to left knee. Inhale back to center. Left hand to right knee. Back through center. And we'll just settle our hands down for a moment. I'm going to scooch the pillow out from under me now. And I'm just going to turn sideways on the mat so you can see me a little better. If you have blocks, you might want to use them for this, but not totally necessary. Okay, so we'll be in a kneeling position, but we're going to have our hips raised. So sort of a 90-degree shins to hips sort of situation like I am right now. We'll tuck the toes under. And you can either use your heels for support here, or you might put your blocks on the inside or the outside of your feet here for a little bit of support. So what we'll do is we'll reach back with the left hand either to your block or your left heel. And we're gonna sweep the arm up and overhead, coming into like a slight back bend here. And then back down through center. Right hand to right block or right heel, opening up to the side body. So we're sweeping across the front body and then a slight back bend. And if you can't reach your blocks or your heels, you might just put your hands on your hips here. I should have mentioned that first, sorry. You might put your hands on your hips, coming into a little back bend. So it'll be a little bit more slight, but that's okay, same idea. And all the while we're getting a nice little stretch through the toes. So depending on how deep you want to get here, beautiful. Okay, untuck the toes. And we will be coming into our table position, which I always prefer to do this in this one direction for some strange reason. Okay, so remembering if you have knee problems, you might fold your mat over, creating a little extra thickness. Or not even if you have knee problems, just if you want to be comfortable. That's totally okay. So our hips, our knees are hip width apart, hands are shoulder width apart. Stacking all of our joints one on top of the other, straight. Drawing the shoulders down, shoulder blades together and down the back. Coming into a stable foundation here. On the inhale, we'll lift the nose, lift the tailbone, coming in to cow. Deep breath in. Exhale, drawing the navel towards the spine, tucking the tailbone under, dropping the chin. Cat pose. Inhale to cow. Exhale to cat. It's moving at your own pace here. Okay, so we're going to come into gate pose, which is a little bit tricky. So what we'll do is take the left leg, send it out straight behind you. I'm going to scooch up on my mat a little bit so that my feet are still on the mat. So the left leg is extended. Right leg is going to turn 90 degrees. So your foot's going to slide off of the mat. So if you can see my foot here, it's sliding 90 degrees away from my mat. So my foot's off the mat. The left foot is going to come down into the knife edge. So the inside of your foot is going to be providing that foundation. Plant the right hand down nice and firmly. The left hand's going to come open like we're opening or drawing like a bow and arrow. Stretching through the side body here. You might take the left hand and drop it over the head, coming into like one long line. And then you might sort of groove here, making little circles. Forwards, maybe backwards. Maybe opening up extra far in the front body, curling down. Changing directions. And we'll meet in this sort of T position here. And with integrity, I want you to use your core here. So tighten up your core, and we're going to start to shift the body upwards, coming into a T position. And then you can either drop your left hand in front or behind the right knee. And we might stretch the other way. Only if this feels nice. Might just explore some different movements here. Find what feels good. And you feel ready coming back up to center. Cartwheeling back down to our table position hands. Taking the right leg back onto the mat. Left leg meeting us back in our table position. We'll bring the two big toes together. Hips or the knees as wide as the mat, and we'll drop the hips down to come to child's pose for a moment. Just take a little rest here. Again, you might use a pillow or something to support you underneath the front body. Just sinking into this pose. Feeling safe and protected, as all of our vital organs are nicely protected in this little ball. It's nice to feel safe in our bodies. Something that we might not always get to feel. But it's something that you can create for yourself and be intentional about. Coming back up to our table pose now. We'll take the right leg out long. Left leg 90 degrees off of the mat. We'll drop the heel down so the knife edge of the foot is our support. Staying nice and stable through the left hand. Opening up through the right arm. Coming into that T shape. Again, you might drop the right hand over towards the head. Coming into a nice long line. And you might play with that shoulder joint a little bit. Doing your own little yoga riff. Whatever feels nice. And then coming back to that T position. Again, engaging the core, we'll start to lift the body up. Coming into an upward sort of T. And then dropping the hand either behind or in front of the right knee. We'll come into the other version of that little twist. Again, exploring with the left shoulder now. You could be supporting your hand with a block here if that's more helpful for you. Coming back to our T position. Windmilling the hands down. Bringing the left leg into table, right leg into table. Sending the knees hip width apart, toes together, sending the hips back into our child's pose. Remembering to connect in with the breath here. Just noticing what it feels like to be in your body today. Remembering that the version of your body that exists at this present moment in time is the only one that really exists. You probably don't have the same physical body you did when you were a child, but it's the same you that lives inside it. And the only time we can truly love our bodies the most is in the present moment. So why wouldn't we? And after all, they've gotten us as far as to get us here. Your body is the body that you needed all this time in the past to get you to this point. And if it wasn't, it would be a different body. So know that it is just as it needs to be. And the more intentional we are about paying attention to how our body truly feels, aside from what society and corporations and well-meaning or so-called well-meaning other people might tell us, it all just comes down to how you feel in your body. Okay, so we'll come back up to our table position. And we will, oh yeah, let's come up through downward dog. Okay, we'll do a little bit of downward dog just for a moment. Okay, so tucking the toes under, spreading our weight out through the fingertips, pressing the hips up towards the sky, stretching out the back, gentle bend in the knees, gentle bend in the elbows. Just taking a moment here to settle in. Maybe walking out the feet a little bit, bending one leg and then the other. Curling the tailbone up towards the ceiling. Seeing if you can press just a little bit deeper down into this pose. Sending the heart down towards the mat and towards the toes. Then we'll begin to walk the feet towards the hands, coming into a forward fold. So strong through the base of the feet, up through the lower legs, gentle bend in the knees, solid through the thighs. Upper body just hangs loose. This is when you're allowed to have your shoulders at your ears in yoga. Just letting the tension that we hold in our upper bodies just slide off the shoulders, down the arms and away. On the inhale, we'll lift to halfway lift to a flat back. So imagine you're like a little table and someone could put a little teacup on your back and it wouldn't spill. Nice straight back. Exhale to fold back down. Inhale, we'll bring the arms out, up and overhead, lifting one vertebrae at a time, slowly, slowly moving with intention. Till our hands meet up and overhead. Hands down to heart center as we exhale. Inhale, arms up and overhead. Exhale, hands down as we swan dive back down into our forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, arms up and overhead. Hands down to heart center. Inhale, hands up and overhead. Exhale, fold. One more at your own pace now. Don't forget that halfway lift though. And when we meet in prayer position here, we're going to do a couple quick warrior poses. So let's step the right leg and left leg out into a bit of a wide-legged stance. The right toes will turn to face the short edge of the mat. Left foot comes in 45 degrees. Hands come out in a T position, looking over the middle finger of the right hand, and we'll begin to sink the weight into the right leg. So making sure that our knee doesn't come out over the toe. Coming into warrior two. So we're looking to bring the hips towards the front of the mat. So we're looking to keep them square to the long edge. We'll take an inhale, bring the arms up and overhead. Or bring the right hand, sorry. Exhale, right hand comes to the top of the right knee. Left hand comes up and over the head. And just flow here for a moment between one pose and the other. When your right hand comes up, your left hand can rest on the left leg. So there's always one hand resting on the leg. The other hand is just sort of flowing up and out into space there. When you feel ready, coming back to center. We'll take the right foot back into our 45 degrees. Left foot now is going to face the short edge of the mat. Right foot comes in 45 degrees. Begin to sink our weight into the left knee, bringing our gaze out over the left finger, making sure not to push the knees over the toes. Hips are facing the long edge of the mat. And again, we'll start to flow here. So left hand comes down to the left thigh, sorry. Right hand comes up and overhead. I'm so chilled, I can't even talk. Right hand comes to the right leg, left hand comes up and overhead. Flowing back and forth between peaceful warrior and humble warrior. Stable through the legs here. Letting the upper body just flow. When you feel ready, coming back to center. What we're going to do this time is we're actually going to windmill down. So take the left hand and start to bring it down towards the outside of the left foot. Right hand also windmills down, churning on the back foot into a lunge, dropping down the right leg, untucking the right foot. And then we'll drop the left knee in between the hands, coming into our pigeon pose. So you might want to place a block or a pillow underneath the left hip. Sinking into the pose as far as feels good. Again, if you feel comfortable, you might walk the hands out. Letting the body fold over the left thigh. If your head doesn't touch the ground, you might use a block or two fists. Just sinking into the outer left hip. Walking back up into our proud pigeon. Curling the back toes under, lifting the knee. We'll come back to our table pose. This time the left leg comes out. We'll drop the knee, untuck the toes, bring the right hand between the hands, or the right knee between the hands. Dropping the right hip down, either on a block or onto the floor. Again, if you feel comfortable, walking the hands out, folding over the right thigh. coming back up through center. Tucking the left toes under, lifting the knee. We'll send the right leg back into our table. Left leg comes down, and we're going to come down into a sort of position where we're lying completely on the belly. So you might come down into like a sphinx arms and do a bit of a puppy pose here, sending the legs out in whatever way feels comfortable, coming down onto the belly. So what we're going to do now is we'll put our, I don't know if you can see me, I hope so you can see me okay. We'll put our arms out into a T position. Left ear will touch the mat. Let me think about this, if I'm going to do the right leg or not. Yes, okay. So left ear touches the mat, right leg is going to lift. And if you can, you're going to twist it so that the sole of the right foot touches the floor. So you're kind of opening up through the hip a little bit. Ear stays on the mat, hands stay on the floor. If your toe doesn't touch or your foot doesn't touch the floor, that's okay. We're just aiming to sort of open the hip. It's kind of like a stomach version of our reclined twist that we practice. When you feel ready, straightening the leg, dropping the hip back down to the mat, turning the head to the other side, right ear to the floor. Gotta do this without turning my sound off here. We'll bring the left leg up, opening the hip, dropping the foot towards the left side, or sorry, the right side of the mat. Ear stays to the floor, hands stay to the floor. Coming back through center, straightening the leg. We'll put the hands underneath the shoulders, press the body up. Swinging the legs out to the side, we'll come into a seated position. Okay, where are we at here? Oh yes, my favorite part, the butt massage. Okay, so send one leg out straight. Let's do the left leg. Send the left leg out straight. Right leg is bent. Right foot is on the inside of the left knee. And we're going to be coming onto the forearm, the right forearm. So just lean back a little bit, coming onto that right forearm. Lift the right leg. You can grab the sole of the foot with your left hand. And we're just going to sort of rock onto the right butt cheek. Making little like half circles here, little half moons. And you might even experiment with like having a straight arm to a bent arm, like really coming into small little circles here, just like massaging your butt cheek into the floor. Maybe changing directions. And then coming back to center, we'll send the right leg out. Left foot to inside of left knee. Left forearm on the ground. Right hand holds onto the sole of the left foot. And again, just rolling out onto that butt cheek. Again, if you want a deeper stretch, you might lift up back left hand there for a greater range of motion. Beautiful. Okay, so we'll send the legs out straight. And we'll begin to sink back into a reclined position here. Preparing for Savasana. Perhaps doing any of your favorite reclined poses. I'll lead you through one, but if there's any other ones that you would rather do, it's self-care day, so you do what feels good for you. But if you'd like to follow along into a bit of a new pose today, We'll put the arms out in a T position. Right leg bends so that the right foot is next to the left knee. And we'll begin to drop the right knee over towards the left side of the mat. Coming into our familiar recline twist. Except this time, our left hand is coming to our right knee. And we'll bring this is a bit of a tongue twister for my brain. The left foot is going to come up the mat towards your bum. Right hand is going to come down and grab the foot if possible. So you're essentially making like a giant diamond with your body. My right toes are kind of tucked into the space behind my left knee. You might turn your head to face the right side of the room as your knee is pointed to the left. When you feel ready, slowly unwinding, letting that right leg straighten out. Bringing the hands back to your T position, using them to gently bring the right knee back up. Sending the right knee out. Left foot comes to the inside of the right knee. Dropping the left knee to the right side of the mat this time. Head turns to face the left. Right hand comes to left knee. We'll take the left foot, bring it up towards the bum. Still touching the mat though. Left hand to right foot. Making our diamond pose. I've actually never done this pose before. I just saw it in my yoga book today and I decided that I'd like to try it. And slowly untangling, sending the right leg out straight. Left knee up to the sky, using the hands in our T position to push them back. And coming into our final Savasana. So you might grab your pillow or your blanket. Take a deep breath in here. Exhale, sigh it out. Deep breath in. Sigh it out. Deep breath in. And sigh it out. Following this pattern on your own. If your mind wanders, just bringing it back to the breath. Bringing your awareness to the crown of the head. Imagine you could breathe in through that part of your body. Filling the head with fresh air. Bringing your awareness to the tip of the nose. Breathing in fresh air through the tip of the nose. Filling up the chest. Bringing your awareness to the palms of the hands. Breathing in. Filling both of the arms with fresh air. Bringing your awareness to the soles of the feet. Filling the legs with fresh air. Breathing in, self-love. Breathing out, self-hate. Breathing in, self-worth. Breathing out that inner critic. Breathing in, self-confidence. Breathing out, self-doubt. Inviting in only that which serves us. Only what we deserve. Focusing on the breath. Being in the body. Now, I'm going to leave you in silence for the next song when it comes on. And I'd like you to just really listen and just sort of think of it as a bit of a meditation. Just let go, surrender to the present, surrender to the music, and just relax. If your mind starts to wander, bringing it back to the breath, back to the music. Bringing your attention back to the present moment now. Wiggling fingers and toes. Rolling on to one side, moving slowly. Resting here for a moment. Pushing yourself up to center when you feel ready. I'm gonna turn my music off here. I wish I could get it to stop auto playing. Ruins the vibe at the end. So coming into a seated position for a moment. Again, closing down through the eyes. Bring the hands to heart center. And I'd just like to impart you with the wisdom that your body truly is sacred, as cheesy as that sounds. We are made of the same elements as stardust and plants and every living thing on this planet and in this universe. And we are made of the elements that have been here since the beginning of time. And you are lucky enough to be a collection of all of those elements with your conscious awareness inside, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. And thinking about the fact that our bodies are constantly changing, cells dividing, the things we eat becoming the very muscles and bones that make up our body. And knowing that that constant change isn't something to be afraid of or ashamed of. Our bodies will grow to meet our needs, just as we need them to be. And there's no need to feel ashamed or sad about where we're at. Just thankful for having this present moment. And ultimately knowing that we are worth taking the time to love ourselves. And we are worth giving ourselves the same love that we give to other people. And that we can love people better when we love ourselves better. So on that note, we'll take a deep breath in, breathing in all that self-love. Exhale, let's put our hands towards your computer, your camera there, and we'll breathe out self-love to all the other people practicing with us at the same time. I wish you all a relaxing night. I hope you had a good opportunity to love up on your body and get into all those delicious nooks and crannies. And I hope you enjoyed massaging your little booty. Thank you for practicing with me. Oh, I almost forgot. The light in me sees and honors the light within you. Namaste.